Welcome to Be Encouraged. Today I'm reading from Isaiah 58. And I just want to say to you, in the midst of love, in the midst of where you are loving and you are engaging with God's goodness and God's love, any sense of like futility or frustration or like what's the point or why even bother, I want to say to you, no. You are working unto kingdom ends. You are establishing God's goodness in the land of the living. Don't let the storyline of the world overwhelm your heart and your mind and your intentions. God's got your back. Isaiah 58 is going to say that. As your goodness leads forward, God's righteousness has got your back. I'm just going to read this whole chapter. I'm not going to read it too fast, but I'm just going to read it over your day and over your intentions and the heart and mind attitudes. You're coming and you're going, all that you're about, all that you're doing. Shout with the voice of a trumpet blast. Tell my people Israel of their sins. This is God speaking to the prophet Isaiah, chapter 58. Yet they act so pious. I want to talk about sin and selfishness and self-righteousness and a world that wants to own the narrative. And one of the ways the world seeks to own the narrative is it acts so pious. It believes itself so good. It's so deeply dishonest at its core, yet they act so pious. They come to the temple every day and seem delighted to hear my laws. You would almost think that this was a righteous nation that would never abandon its God. They love to make a show of coming to me and asking me to take action on their behalf. We have fasted before you, they say. Why aren't you impressed? We have done much penance and you don't even notice it. God, look at me. Look what I'm doing. Look at me. Look. I will tell you why. It's because you're living for yourselves even while you are fasting. The whole point of fasting is admitting of brokenness and asking God to reorient us correctly, but not their fasting. Their fasting is manipulative, working towards their own living for themselves, their own end. You keep right on oppressing your workers. What good is fasting when you keep on fighting and quarreling? What good is fasting that's not changing you? What good is fasting that is dishonest? You think you can fast and continue to fight and quarrel? You think you can fast and it's a real fast and your heart is harder than ever? This kind of fasting will never get you anywhere with me. It's manipulation, right? You humble yourselves by going through the motions of penance. You're pretending that you care and think and feel something you don't. You bow your heads like a blade of grass in the wind. You've learned how to play the part. And I want to say sometimes some of us are very aware of, I'm very aware of, I can have really sincere intentions and then in a minute, my intentions aren't that sincere. And I just want to say God can handle the limits of my humanity and just, I don't know, we're not on a tightrope walk in God. But then just the reason we work out our faith with fear and trembling in Scripture is because we can be so deceptive to ourselves and to others. And the moment we start playing God, like not acting like God, but like working God, like how you play a flute, you cover the different holes and different sounds come out. The moment you start working with God that way, they're like, I know how to make you. I know how to manipulate you. I know how to get what I want from you. You're somewhere you don't want to be. It's one thing to say, wow, God, I keep crashing. I keep falling down. I keep dropping the ball. I keep, like Paul says, not being the person I want to be. I don't know what's wrong with me. That's very different than saying, oh, watch me manipulate God. Watch me be above God. Watch me know how to work God. Watch me know how to do that. What good is fasting when you keep on fighting and quarreling? This kind of fasting will never get you anywhere with me. You humble yourselves by going through the motions of penance, bowing your head like a blade of grass in the wind. So like, I know how to do that. I can bow my head. No worries. You dress in sackcloth, that's clothing of the poor, very uncomfortable, rough. And you cover yourselves with ashes. Is this what you call fasting? So is fasting behavioral this way? Do you really think that will please Yahweh? Like, what do you think Yahweh is? Who do you think Yahweh is? How very arrogant of you that you can believe that you're righteous as you push everything towards your own ends, including your spirituality. No, the kind of fasting I want calls you to free those who are wrongly imprisoned and to stop oppressing those who work for you. What is life like for the people in your midst? What is life like for the people in your midst? Treat them fairly and give them what they earn. I want you to share your food with the hungry and to welcome poor wanderers into your homes. Give clothes to those who need them and do not hide from relatives who need your help. See, Scripture has such high criteria for relatives, so it's very tempting to hide from them so that they can't call on you. God's envisioning something so tangible, so honest. If you do these things, your salvation will come like the dawn. How does the dawn come? Predictably, reliably, every morning. Okay, if you do these things, your salvation will come. You will know God's fullness and goodness and presence like the dawn, right on time. Yes, your healing will come quickly. Your godliness will lead you forward. Your own godliness will lead you forward. I love this verse here. And the glory of Yahweh will protect you from behind. Our righteousness, our godliness takes us forward, and God's got our back. He's got us covered. And then when you call, Yahweh will answer. Yes, I am here. He will quickly reply. You and I are not meant to live lives distant from God. And I feel the word lowly too. We're not to live lives in a lowly relationship to God. That as we pursue righteousness, God's right with us. That God's right with us. We're not lowly, we're not beggars in God's presence. It's not meant to look like that. Stop oppressing the helpless and stop making false accusations and spreading vicious rumors. The privilege could do that. The privilege can do that today. When it talks about the rich bringing people to court in the New Testament, that's the only ones who had the ability to bring people to court. Okay, so it's a person of power and privilege can spread false accusations. If you don't have privilege and power, your accusations don't do anything. But no, they stop making false accusations and spreading vicious rumors. People in power, stop lying. Feed the hungry and help those in trouble. Use your position to change the reality of lives about you. And then your light will shine out from the darkness, and the darkness around you will be as bright as day. It's a quality of life. It's a quality of righteousness. Yahweh will guide you continually. Here's a beautiful image. Watering your life when you are dry and keeping you healthy too. That intimacy and that kind of co-living with God and that fullness of God's presence in our life. You will be like a well-watered garden, like an ever-flowing spring. Where there's water, there's life. And in desert land, that's especially true, right? Places where water is lacking, where there is water, there is life. And God says, no, your life will be full of life as you lead and as you live. Your children will rebuild the deserted ruins of your cities. Life. Your children will be a part of this flowing fountain of life. That where you are and where your children are, life begets life, begets life, begets life. And then you will be known as the people who rebuild their walls and cities, not people that take and destroy. And I'm just gonna go on here. Okay, there will be an echo of life throughout your family, an echo of goodness. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Don't pursue your own interests on that day. The Sabbath is lifted so high in the Old Testament, a day of rest, and everything attached to you should rest on the Sabbath. The echo of your life on the Sabbath should be a culture of rest. And as Christians, we can ask, what does that mean? That the lives that our lives touch should know rest as we know rest. Rest should be, kind of want to say, the energy or the reality. My life should not be echoing anxiety and stress. Stress should not be something spilling out of my life onto the lives of others, demanding that they help me deal with what I can't deal with. There should be an orientation of rest that is so well established within me, it establishes rest in the lives of those that I interface with. Honor Yahweh in everything you do, and don't follow your own desires or talk idly. I skipped a verse. I'm going to say this. Enjoy the Sabbath and speak of it with delight as Yahweh's holy day. Live out of that rest. That we, in the Old Testament, no one rests on a seventh day. We all have weekends now, but that's a gift of God to humanity. Your life should not be so entrenched in hard work and hard labor that everyone's life is entrenched in hard work and hard labor. No. Enjoy the Sabbath. It's a gift. Speak of it with delight as Yahweh's holy day and his way of honoring Yahweh. So it goes on from here. Honor Yahweh in everything you do and don't follow your own desires or talk idly. Talking idly is I'm not weighing the consequence of my speech. I'm just kind of rambling and my words have effect. And the presumption there is that it's bad effect. When my words can bless, when my words can encourage. If you do this, Yahweh will be your delight. I will give you great honor and give you your full share of the inheritance that I promised to Jacob, your ancestors. I, Yahweh, speak within my name, or I, Yahweh, have spoken. There's no higher name. So I don't know, I want to encourage you in the battles that we are facing, the battles that are trying to, I feel like, shape-shift our life. Conversations that are trying to degrade us and demean us and pull us into them. And I just want to say, no, our righteousness, lead out of the righteousness. And for us as Christians, that's even more because it's the blood of Christ, the forgiveness of sins. Don't take the bait. It doesn't mean that we don't have hard conversations. I know it's a season of clarifying and speaking boldly as we're led to speak boldly. But the enemy loves petty bickering. Would encourage us to be selfish in a way that tears others down. And I just want to say that sometimes in life, being righteous sometimes means letting others, you have to be sensitive to how the Spirit's leading you. Sometimes God calls us to, like Jesus, he turned the tables over. Like sometimes we're called to resist the ways that evil is trying to take over our life. When Jesus turns the tables over, the place for the Gentile follower, right? The not Judaizers, sorry. That's a bad thing in the New Testament. The followers, the Gentile, the Greeks that wanted to follow Judaism, if I remember correctly, they had turned that into a market, and Jesus regains that ground for outsiders to enter into worship. And sometimes we are called to establish, right, to stand up on behalf of others and establish right worship. Paul fights strongly, I guess I'll say, for the rights of the Gentiles to not have to be Jewish in their worship. But I also think that kind of getting that right is that it's easy to then, I don't know, it's easy to want to be treated like, the world can say that it's better to be treated privileged. It's a better position to stand. in. And I just want to say that as you endeavor and as you love and as you forgive and as you face the petty and say, I'm not having anything to do with you. I'm not vying. That as we glorify God in our treatment of fellow human beings, God is glorified within our life and within the lives of our children. Be blessed, be encouraged.